Let me explain to you why belief in aliens is stupid. But first, let's look at some of the propaganda in the world for aliens, like The Simpletons, Ben 10, Godzilla, I think, Power Rangers, Star Trek, Alien vs. Predator, Earthbound, E.T., Mars Attack, Space Invaders, Metroid, Fusion, and Prime, and so forth, Jet Force Gemini, Star Fox, Space Channel, Fantasy Star, Invader Zim, Dragon Ball Z, F-Zero, some random game, Star Wars, another random game, Hollywood movies like this one with 9/11 foreshadowing of the people who fell off or jumped off, Independence Day. From Wikipedia, the establishment that claims to be scientific says, sapient life exists elsewhere in the universe. The science of extraterrestrial life is known as astrobiology, and the science of leprechaun life is known as leprechology. Since when does science say something is true unless proven false? They got it backwards. The rigors of science are, you treat something as guilty unless it's proven innocent. Now don't take that out of context. I don't mean actual people with guilt or innocence in question. I mean, is something to be regarded as fact or not? And some people will say that science doesn't deal with facts. But that's idiotic, because gravity, the phenomenon itself, I'm not talking about an explanation for it, gravity, the phenomenon of us going down after we jump, that is a fact. Science does deal with facts. Anyway, aliens are false unless proven true. That's the scientific standard for anything. This is a stupid lie. This is atheist propaganda of the devil. Now, the Bible doesn't claim to be a scientific book, although I did a video on how the Bible explains kangaroos from Noah's Ark ending up in Australia. The Bible taught Pangaea way before any atheist did. You guys took centuries to catch up, and you never surpassed, you merely agreed with the general gist of Pangaea. Anyway, moving on. I'm not saying it was aliens, but it was aliens. They continue. Extraterrestrial life, such as microorganisms, has been hypothesized to exist in the solar system and throughout the universe, just as one could hypothesize leprechauns. Equally scientific, supposedly, except we have actually seen Celtic midgets. Therefore, belief in aliens is stupider than belief in leprechauns. This hypothesis relies on the vast size and consistent physical laws of the observable universe. They are trying to emphasize physics and observation for something that they have no observation of, aliens. And when it's clear that there is no physical law that says aliens exist, that's absolute idiocy and desperation. But hey, they know that people will believe whatever scientist, white coat, semi-prophets of the scientism religion, quasi-religion, claim, even though history shows that they have always been wrong about one thing or another. Anyway, so what they're saying is that myth is based on the non sequitur fallacy, which says that because there's a lot of space without aliens, that proves aliens must exist. Let that sink in. When you have no proof for aliens, that constitutes as proof. Again, let that sink in how stupid it is. When you cannot prove aliens, that means you proved them. Wow. If you want to prove a lie, don't prove it. And it's proven already. Isn't that convenient? And the more lack of aliens, the more certainly they exist. The more lack of leprechauns, the more certainly they exist. Who can doubt these creatures? Can you find a leprechaun in this corner of Ireland? How about now that their chance of occurring has increased because we have explored more? See further, find none. This proves they must exist, those leprechauns. Seamus, look! Proof for them is growing. So much evidence for leprechauns. They are a scientific reality at this point. There can be no doubt now. We have just scientifically verified that leprechauns must exist. Just kidding, that's idiotic reasoning and an insult to intelligence, but it's how atheists and such jump to aliens of the gaps. Not all atheists believe in aliens, but most of them do. So don't take me out of context. But you will anyway, won't you? I don't know, therefore aliens. I don't always have answers to life's greatest mysteries. Wait, I do, it's aliens. Consistent, so they continued, this hypothesis relies on the vast size. So space is big, therefore aliens, non sequitur, how stupid. And then they say consistent physical laws of the observable universe. According to this argument, made by those who are supposedly scientists, such as Carl Sagan and Stephen Hawking, both of whom are in hell now, it would be improbable for life not to exist somewhere other than Earth. The propaganda claims that physics will lead to aliens. That's an obvious lie, as not a single law in all of science says life will occur spontaneously, which science has already proven doesn't occur whenever people try to make it occur. Instead, life from life is law, like your mom, for there is no known exception, whether you like it or not, atheists and such. But the scientific establishment doesn't follow its own rules due to its agenda, its antichrist of the devil agenda. Because the people who can, well, I'll get to that later. Abiogenesis isn't science. Abiogenesis means life arising from non-life. Which, by the way, because, you know, atheists will say this in the comment section, I'll preempt you, God willing. No, you cannot say that God creating is abiogenesis, because God is life, therefore Him creating life is biogenesis, is life from life, His eternal life. And I can do another video on, I plan to do another video on, then who made God? But that's for a different video. It's unfalsifiable to say that life came from non-life, so it's not a scientific explanation or claim. No atheist, and I've challenged them for years, no atheist can provide a plausible scenario of falsification. If you claim that abiogenesis is science, you need to do this, or you're a failure, like all of your other comrades in your blind faith cult of scientism. You would need a time machine, which by the way are impossible, but that's again for a different video, to empirically falsify the atheist creation myth of alchemy on steroids, whereby non-life magically became life. But of course you say it's not magic because you have mathematics that you can apply to it. You can invent a number and put the sticker on your imaginary vehicle of time travel or whatever you want. You can do anything with that magic, and you know, it's so easy to pull the wool over your eyes. It's not magic because you call it science. Well, that's just a word, and it has no meaning if you cannot back it up with facts, which you cannot do, because it is magic to say that life came from non-life. That's the most miraculous thing anyone could conceive. To say that abiogenesis were a law of science is as stupid as saying alchemy is science. But that's what they're saying here, you know, physical laws, therefore aliens. That's what they're saying here. This is the establishment. And its minions repeating and echoing it, parroting and regurgitating its assertions at face value without question, because no one is a free thinker, especially atheists. To say that abiogenesis were a law of science is as stupid as saying alchemy is science. Actually more so, since a metal into another metal is less magical, less drastic a change than non-life transforming into life. Frankenstein. According to this argument made by these propagandists, Carl Sagan and Stephen Hawking, it would be improbable for life not to exist somewhere other than Earth. Yeah, it's so probable that we don't see them ever for thousands of years in any direction, no matter how far you look. Yeah, that's how probable it is. That makes so much sense, doesn't it? More on that later in their attempts to explain that away later. The dead sci-fi author Carl Sagan, I did a video proving he's an idiot, and that's the video, where he said that the sun cannot heat you more if you are closer to it. He actually said that because he's trying to peddle the global warming myth for money, because he gets paid to lie. He's a shell, not a true scientist. Well, he's dead now, he's nothing now, except a false god of the scientism cultists called atheist fanatics and such. And this is rich coming from Carl Sagan, because he said that extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. The best so-called evidence for aliens is their great lack of evidence. The more lack of aliens, the more certainly they exist. We keep searching, we keep finding none, and this proves they're real because space, man. Space equals aliens. We write it in our dictionary. Space. Definition number 1, aliens. That's right. So you can just write it and it becomes reality. That's not how it works. Let alone were it to be science. Pathetic. You are absurd. Antichrist establishment and its zombie followers. I didn't hear your question, but the answer is aliens. The Fermi paradox, so-called, is not a paradox, but a real contradiction. If space, and much of it at that, equals aliens, then in a zillion years, the cosmos should be teeming with them. Yet not a sign of any, not even one. And no, that rock on Mars that looks like Michael Jackson's face is not art created by an alien who looked at Michael Jackson once when he was visiting Earth. No, you can not pass off your imagination as science. That's not how it works. This is strong evidence. This absence of aliens everywhere is strong evidence that they don't exist. I mean, it's kind of obvious, but hey, we got to point out the obvious to people who deny the elephant in the room, which is that the elephant that has 5 eyes and can teleport, this alien elephant, it does not exist. Elsewhere in my channel, I have proven the Bible right. So when I'm talking about things that don't exist, I'm not a hypocrite, because I've already proven God exists, and I've actually done so in more than one way. And here's another way, actually, but I'm not going to elaborate here because I've already done so in other videos. By this argument, this other argument, I crushed macroevolution, the racist atheist creation myth that says that we come from imaginary, contrived, concocted, subhuman Africans. That racist Darwin didn't even invent, his grandfather Erasmus did, but no one cares about the truth, so they use the guy who has a beard but not the wisdom to, go with it as a poster boy for that myth. And I did a video proving that Nazis were macroevolutionists. Anyway, I crushed the Big Bang myth here also. My 1 year ago video here, my year-old video, that one stands alone and proves that the Big Bang is a lie. And these are just supplementary. And yeah, I'm not wearing a shirt here because I'm actually an alien, and if I put on a shirt, I'm going to melt because it's too hot. To try to explain absence away of aliens, the establishment and its gullible zombie followers shit out the zoo hypothesis, so-called, which is unfalsifiable, so it is not a scientific hypothesis. It's just a crazy, wishful thinking guess. But it's a pretext by sci-fi lovers for why their sci-fi fails. UFO expert says aliens scared to visit Earth after Will Smith slapped a Chris Rock at the Oscars. This is why aliens won't talk to us. No, it's because they don't exist. Like me, the leprechaun. Part 2 next, God willing.